Yo, 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 good people. It's your homie HerbMan. Busting you back upside the head with another hot banger boogie. Please go tell somebody to go tell somebody your homie HerbMan is on. Yes, sir. And if you're new to the program, welcome, welcome, welcome. Please follow, like, share, and subscribe on all the platforms at Love HerbMan. All right. So I am your neighborhood holistic practitioner. I am none other than your homie HerbMan. All right. We're coming live from South Africa, live on YouTube, live on TikTok. Go get somewhere, get situated so that you guys can learn how to heal yourself. And you cannot heal yourself unless you know thyself. So we teach you here about the human frame and the human design so that you guys can be well on your way to happiness, wholeness, and wellness that you surely deserve. Okay. And so that's all we do here, you guys. This is a free information station. You don't have to pay for anything that you hear here today. All you simply got to do is pay attention. And how we do that on the HerbMan show is by double tapping that screen and getting us up to 100,000 likes during the live broadcast. I promise you, I work for the food. As long as you stay interactive with me, we can learn this stuff together. Okay. So the big main premises and everything here, you guys, is how can we simplify health so that we can understand it and we can start to put this thing into practicality in our lives. That's at the nuts and bolts of it, should be everything, right? What is the simplest, cheapest, but most effective way to be healthy? What is the cheapest, simplest, most effective way for you to be healthy? And I'm just going to lay it all out on the line to you guys right here in the first part of the video so that you guys can understand, okay? But once we get to 1,000 likes, we'll get there. And since we're already there, let's go ahead and say it, okay? The biggest thing about health is people are trying to find. Again, I told you guys about the Google search, okay? If you guys didn't see the Google search, I'm going to show y'all one more time this Google search really quick to show y'all exactly what's going on in your climate, no matter what country you're in or where you're at, okay? The most Google health system symptoms, and look at it. The thing about it is that every state is dealing with the same thing, okay? We're dealing with a sick state of human doings, okay? And it's the reason why is because we are human beings doing things instead of human beings. And the being is that rest and relaxation, that stillness, that place where there's no anxiety or no depression, okay? That's what we're trying to get you into, the being, right? So what I'm trying to teach you is how to be instead of you being caught up in how to do. All of the situations that we've been dealing with is because we've been programmed to do things, right? You're the human doing, okay? And when you are the human doing, everything is work. Okay, when you're the human doing, everything seems like it's work. Relationships become work. Just to get up in the morning, working, all of the things of life looks like it's work. You know, you got to do this to eat. You got to do this to live. You got to do this to have clothes and to have the type of life. And you got to do this to learn and got all this stuff. So you're always caught up in doing. And so that's the programming of our particular modern human species, is that we come into the paradigm being programmed of tasks to do instead of simply knowing what it feels like to have one moment, okay, of that Kairos moment, one moment of that present moment right there, one moment of that infinite moment in time where I don't have to be doing anything. I could just be. But when you spend all your time doing, obviously it's going to wreak havoc on the body. It's going to have wear and tear on all of the four elements of that makes you up as a human. When a human is doing, you're going to experience things like burnout. Okay? All right? When you are a human doing, you can experience things like stagnation. When you are a human doing, you can experience things like congestion. Okay? When you are a human doing, you can experience these things like blockages. Okay? These right here ain't nothing but what we call the obstructions. The obstructions are things that are obstructing what? What are obstructions obstructing? Anybody want to take a poke at it? I'm really giving you a hint with the word. What is obstructions obstructing? Anybody want to know? Somebody said flow. Great idea. You're on the right track. Okay. It's a particular word. Somebody said waters, beings. Okay. None of y'all are wrong yet, but it's just not the answer I'm looking for. Energetics, energy. All right. It's not the word I'm looking for, but it's not wrong. Okay. Obstructions are obstructing instructions. Okay. You get that? Put that down there, somebody. In the obstructions are obstructing instructions. So now, where is your instructions coming from? Light. Where is the light? In everything. The light is in everything. Okay? The light is in everything. The light is in animals, plants, is in fruits, is in people, places, and things. Without the light, you couldn't see it. So we call this particular perspective in our biological eye the light spectrum. Now, you know the light spectrum as being Roy G. Biv, okay? Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. But there are actually 9 colors, not 7. One of them is infrared and the other one is ultraviolet. Those two belong to the light spectrum, but they are invisible to your eye. So that lets me know that if I got two particular angles of light that belong to the light spectrum, but I can't see it, but it doesn't mean that it's not there. That means that then it's plausible for a lot of other stuff that you just can't see, but that's here. Okay? But because infrared is dark and ultraviolet is dark, you can't see it for what it really is worth. But it is still light nonetheless. Okay? Darkness is light. Okay? Darkness is light. So you must understand that everything got light in it. But the less light it got, you call it dark. And the most light it got, you call it bright. But everything got light in it, okay? And so the instructions is light. Light is coming from everything, right? So we're going to put everything right here. Okay? Now, this light has to shine through your waters. This light has to connect through your water. So you call this light the electrical side of this process, right? And we know that if you put an iron in the bath water, if you let electricity touch water, it's going to do what? Spread. Okay? It's going to spread. Okay? So the light uses the water to spread. To spread what? Instructions. So when you have obstructions in your life, now this ain't coming just from food. This coming from your life, period. So that's including food, drink, how you eat, how you think, all your relationships, everything can cause a burnout, stagnation, congestion, blockages, and spreading of things, okay? So now you get these obstructions through your life because you are human doing. So a human doing is creating these obstructions to instructions in their life. This can be stressful. If you got obstructions to instructions, how you know when to go up and call that job? How do you know how to get out of poverty without the instructions? How do you know how to change your sickness without instructions? How do you know how to change your life without the instructions? How do you know how to get to where you're getting to without instructions? And so you'll see that the programming of the human doing automatically produces these waste products. These byproducts of the human doing is going to create some obstructions to the light that's coming in you, because the thing about it is you're trying to do. But if I teach you something today, if you can just sit still and just be, you'll probably find out what to do when you be more than you trying to do it to find it out. That means that if you sit down somewhere long enough and get the slow response instead of the reactatory part of you, all right, with every situation. If you sit there long enough, you'll probably come up with the solution to your problems. And so that's what we're trying to get you to see in a nutshell, is that the light is an electrical instructions. Remember that this thing is like a car battery. Now, when you look at your car battery, you got a positive and a negative nodes in there, and then you got some water in there, you got some liquid. That liquid is just like this because it's going to do what? You're going to change the electrical, you're going to change the chemical into electrical. Here you're changing the electrical into the chemical. So it goes from the electrical into the chemical and the nerve responses. Okay, so when that light comes in through that pineal gland, right, when that light comes in through your eye, it's not just about a biological thing, but a psychological. How do you feel about what you see? How do you feel about what you've been through? How do you feel about how you felt? How do you feel about what you think? The light is in everything. Okay, and so how well we got that light clear is all about how well your waters are clear. Okay, and some of you guys are dealing with issues in the waters and you don't know what it is that you need. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Some of the ions that are needed for you, and then some of the herbs that can help you out. We can help you guys out with any and everything: cancers, high blood pressures, diabetes, reproductive issues, whatever it is that you got going on. With your owner's manual or without your owner's manual, you can still get these herbs. Okay, so if you guys got issues and you just don't want to get a consultation, you can still email us and we'll give you directions on what you need. But we're only going to be working from the system. I will never deviate the system. You don't have to consult me for me to use the system on you, okay? But we still going to use the system, baby. I don't leave this system, okay? So now understanding that the light is using the water to spread the instructions in a more faster pace. Remember that this thing is at the speed of light. So this is faster than your nerves can go. This is faster than your neurons can go. Okay, this is the fastest way for you to get coherence. That coherence is this instruction. It's this organization. This light tends to come in and provide instructions to organize everybody. This light gives your cells what to do: functionality, meaning, purpose, identity. The same way they're teaching you the light of God in you from an outside standpoint, it's the same thing. You must understand the power of light in your life to your cells. So this light and water connection is an electrical and magnetic connection, okay? It's an electrical and magnetic connection. Now, here's the thing. Just like I told you guys yesterday, the water does two things. It is going to absorb the light and reflect the light, because that's how life is. Life wants you to absorb some things, but also to reflect some things. I think a lot of us are too busy reflecting and deflecting, and a lot of us are too busy absorbing and being victims. And so we must find an easy medium. We must find a balance within this particular thing, because our whole job is to understand the duality between the two. Remember, polarity is the recipe. So yes, I should absorb some things sometimes, but yes, I also should reflect some things. And reflecting things is another word of being able to put things in practicality that you absorb. So it ain't just about soaking up information like all you do on social media. It ain't just about flipping and scrolling down these goddamn aisles of dysfunctionality on social media and on your TV screen. It also is about using some of this information that you are seeking, learning, and downloading, and put it into practicality so that you can reflect that which you say you know. A lot of you guys are coming out here talking about you know everything, but your life doesn't reflect it. I saw a sign the other day talking about you got financial problems and this, that, and the third. I said, well, hell, if anything, you should have had a better sign, so let me know that you got money. If you can't write it on a better sign than what you got, I would never go to you for financial anything, spells or on the spell. I don't care about all that. You see? So you got to reflect some of this stuff that you're saying you know, some of this stuff that you're saying that you want to know, so that you can experience it for yourself. So this absorption and reflection is a lot like what this water, this coherence, this organization. So then it comes in and gives those instructions to the cells. What instructions? Okay, I already told y'all. Either you need to do a catabolic action, All right. Either you need to do a catabolic action or you need to do an anabolic action. These are the instructions. Okay. Your food, your life, your emotions, everything that you do is sending instructions to either build up or break down things within your body. And what happens is a lot of times we're eating things that have got growth hormones in them. We're stressed the hell out. Every time that you're stressed the hell out, that's also can start producing sleep also produces growth hormones as well. It's just going to put it out there. Now, growth hormones are a bad thing because you need them for cell repair. You need these things in a good way. But when they get out of hand, when you get out of balance, this is at the precipice of where we start to formulate tumors and cancers and growths in our bodies. Okay, so you must understand that this is all that your body is getting out of the chicken. It don't want the chicken. It just want the instructions in the chicken. And so that's all you must understand is that when you eat that porterhouse steak, when you eat that T-bone, when you eat that orange and that grape, and when you eat them collard greens and callaloo, and when you eat that fish, all your body wants is instruction. It discards the rest. Y'all gonna learn today. Okay? All your body wants is instruction. It discards the rest. And so if you're eating dead food, if you're eating processed food, if you're eating prepackaged food, if you're eating microplastics, if you're eating all these damaging ways that we grow food, even in our soil, if the soil is damaged, the food is already coming damaged. And by the time it hits your Frigidaire and get on your stove, it's already depleted of the light. But they don't found ways to trick you, and they don't found ways to be able to change the light. I used to work at a store called Georgia Tomato. I don't mean to cause no harm, Mr. Georgia Tomato, but they would take the tomatoes off the vine very, very early. Now, they ain't going to sell them to you because you don't want no green tomato. But then they'll put them in a big-ass warehouse that smells like death, literally, to speed up the color process, the light. And so you getting a speeded up tomato with that pretty red. And I just told you that the place that they're doing that, it smells like literally dead body. And so at the end of the day, that fermentation process, that speeding up, you got to be careful because you're looking for the real light. The light ain't in that warehouse. The light was for that thing to still stay on that tree and let it happen naturally, which means that you just needed a little patience. Okay, but out of your ignorance, we creating things. So again, your body don't give a damn about chicken, pork, pig feet, bacon. That's your taste buds, but it's not your body. Your body just wants the instructions that pig feet got in it. Now you need to start asking yourself, what instructions does pig feet got in it? Growth. Any kind of meat product, any kind of, put it like this, just any protein, period. Mushrooms, alfalfa, alfalfa sprouts, all this stuff, Irish moss, I don't give a damn. If it got protein in it, it's got, protein gives it instructions that says grow. That's what you got to look at, okay? There's protein, there's fats, there's carbohydrates, and then what's the last one? Anybody know? Proteins, fats, carbohydrates. Anybody else know what the last one is? These are the main three, okay? But we always say the amino acids, but we use them as protein. So this right here is going to make you grow, okay? What you think the fats are there for? What the fats are there for? The fats are also there they can also make you grow. The carbohydrates is there. They can also make you grow. But they're there to make you go. Okay? The fats can also make you go. And also the proteins can make you go. So you got go, grow, go, grow, go, grow. Now, a lot of you guys are eating 3 meals a day, 4 meals a day, 5 meals a day of this stuff right here, but you're not on the go. So you don't put grow in now without going, then you're growing. So I don't care if what you eat, but if you ain't working it out, if you ain't working it out, literally, if you ain't eating because you need to eat because of the job you do every day, then guess what? You're sitting there putting instruction to grow because you didn't counterbalance it with go. If I put stuff to grow, but I'm on the go, then I counterbalance the growth because that means that grow means what? Grow means anabolic, but then I start moving and then I start putting instructions in the body from the movement to do catabolic. So catabolic means break all that shit down that I just put in, break it all down. That's taking large things, large molecules, and breaking them down into smaller ones. That's called catabolic. Okay. Anabolic is taking smaller molecules and bringing them up to, these are instructions that are coming into this with this food. And so now you start getting protein that are already saying grow, and then they're putting growth hormones in the meat, okay? Or they're putting growth things in your fruits and vegetables, okay? Then guess what? That's hyper growth that's going to really attach to your growth hormones, which is what? Your pituitary gland, your estrogen, and your testosterone, okay? And that's when we start getting reproductive issues. You got fats in you. Fats can also, two things. If you don't burn fat, then you get fat. Okay. But fat is an energy source. So it's you got these things on reserve that hiding in your muscles and your tissues and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, if you don't be on the go, then you're going to grow. So now you guys are eating nuts and you're eating seeds and you're eating all this stuff, but you still ain't doing shit. You think you're eating healthy over at the vegan, but you're eating so many nuts and so many seeds and avocados and so many fats over there. Without doing nothing, they'll make you fat too. So you can't swap out. There's no replacement for movement. You gotta move. You got to be on the go, and you got to be able to sit down and understand how effective growth is too at certain times. I want things to grow only in cell repair if I could deal with it. If you tell me this right here, I really just only want to be over here when I need to repair myself. All the other times I want to be on the go, and then I just really want to grow when I need the cell repair. I don't really need to be doing this throughout the day, all day growing, eating, drinking things that are promoting this growth. Emotional things you're going through is just sending instructions. You don't need them instructions all day. Learn how to use, just like if you go on your job, you got to learn how to use these things. So I'm going to instruct growth during cell repair time, which is mostly during sleep, which means I'm going to put more value on rest, relaxation, and sleep in my life. Okay? Because it's instruction. All right? Now, remember that when you put these instructions in you, if your waters are obstructed, I don't give a damn what instructions you're doing. Even if you're giving it the best instructions through a clouded water, it won't go. Okay? If you're giving it the best instruction in the world through clouded water, it won't go. And so you must understand how to stay from the burnout, the stagnation, the congestion, the blockage, or the spreading of anything in the body, or what we call the scatteredness. Okay, I like to call this scattered. Let me put scattered, or the scatteredness of the light. Because when you scatter the light, obviously the light ain't as strong as it need to be. If you block the light, it don't get the instructions, don't get there. If you scatter the instructions, now if you look at social media, if you look at what you've been Googling, okay, if you look at what you've been Googling as Americans, as people who are looking for health in various different ways right now on the planet, right? No matter where you are, it's scattered information. And scattered instructions is not potent enough, it's not detailed or full enough to really cause any of you guys to get any reciprocity. So when a man says tomato is good one day and another man right that is not good, and another person tell you fiber is good, another person tell you fiber ain't, another person tell you this fruit good, another person tell you this fruit ain't, and then so you get scattered instructions when there's no potency in that scatteredness because it's not direct enough, it's not focused, it's not strong. Okay, y'all get that now? Paralysis of analysis, there you go. Okay, good information, but wrong application can still leave you lost. Okay, good information plus wrong application can still leave you lost. And so now we're at that phase that where we must take as a collective conscious, We must take the information into application and start to really disseminate and throw away what we don't need. We need to start discarding some of the stuff. I see a lot of young people coming up here regurgitating old people's stuff, but I always tell people this stuff. One question you got to ask is that if they goddamn knew what they knew, they would have lived way longer than they did. So you got to watch out for your Edgar Caseys and watch out for, because what I'm saying is, yes, enjoy the information, but push it forward. That was still incomplete. Because if he knew it, everything, he would have ducked and dodged death just like everybody else would have did had they known better. So my point to you is that there are still things that are missing in the history that we as this modern species need to patch up those fragmentations and those holes so that we can continue to evolve. If not, you're going to go back. You're going to go back to being 50, and that'd be the highest age you can live to if you don't be careful, because so many people are mingling and we're so co-mingling, and it's creating different viruses and different diseases that you can't keep up with it if you don't know thyself. Look, the doctors know this information. I got this information. So you know this information out here. I ain't pulling out of my ass. It's out here. But the thing is that the 99% of us, you and I, don't know this information. So out of your ignorance, you creating the industry of the healthcare. If you want to eradicate healthcare, know thyself better. And then you'll see that you can take care of yourself cheap, simple, and the most effective way, because the reality is that you produce a lot of this stuff. Anybody ever heard of hyaluronic acid? Hyaluronic acid, you produce it. But they selling that in your skin and cosmetics. But why? When you produce it in your skin anyway. Come on, man. You're producing your medicine. Okay? So don't let your ignorance create an industry that they start selling you shit that you produce within yourself. Come on now. So these are the instructions, catabolic, metabolic, and these are going to be the instructions that have to get through these waters very clear. Okay? Very clear, right? All this information is in your owner's manual, you guys. If you guys are interested in your owner's manual, please DM us and we'll get you the information that you need. And so the biggest thing that you must understand with these waters is which one of my waters or which one am I categorized in? All right. So you got the blood plasma. Okay. How many of you guys know some of these waters? How many of you know these? See, even with the vitamin D, there's really no such thing as vitamin D. You're producing the melanin and the melanocytes, and you're producing all that stuff anyway. You'll see the trick in vitamin D. They'll tell you to go get more sun. I say get more sleep, but when you put the two together, if you get more sun, you get more sleep. So vitamin D deficiency is not necessarily a sun disorder. For me, it's more a sleep disorder. But hey, what say you? I'm just a young man trying to do the no man's job. All right. So somebody said, Manny said lymph. There you go, lymph. See, I like my student, boy. My students, they come in ready. All right. The lymph. You got to know when it's in the lymph. Okay. Who else know of a water? Okay. Who else know of water? Who else know of water? Who else know water? The intracellular fluid. Man, know all of them. That's your ICF right there. The intracellular fluid, okay? Intracellular means inside the cell. Okay, then number 4 is going to be your extracellular fluid, right? So that's outside the cell, okay? And then you got your CSF, which is your cerebral spinal fluid, okay? So you got that as well. All right. Then what else we got? You got your interstitial. Okay, the interstitial is the fluid in between the cells and the tissues and the organs. Okay, it's the fluid in between the cells, the tissues, and the organs. And then number 7 is your synovial. Okay, your synovial fluids and your seminal fluids. Okay, reproductive fluids. Right. So now, do you know which one of these situations you in? Most of you guys that are dealing with high blood pressure, you're dealing with high blood sugar, you're dealing with sugar imbalances and all these types of things that are dealing with your blood, then guess what? That's you right here, right? But what do you need? Okay, the lymph, the blood. Study of the temple. I love this. Yes, 3 band, man. That's what it's all about, man. That's what it's all about, man. You know what I mean? I ain't no lie to you, bro. That's what it's all about. Let our people see that you can take your, first of all, me just being an example. You know what I mean? I'm a penitentiary brother. Yeah, I did wrong, but I can also do right. You can also change your life too. And I'm saying penitentiary. I ain't say no jailhouse. All right, I've been down there. So I'm just a picture of what you can do, man. You can change, bro. You can transform. I don't give a damn. If you can transform a life, then you can definitely transform what's in the life. And all I'm trying to do is show you guys what transformation looks like, what it sounds like, what it feels like, and hopefully one day you want a piece of it too. But you can transform your life into something great if you're open to it, okay? And it's all about being open to it, right? So now, when we're looking at the blood, right, you got to know what you need here. So most of the time, you guys, the blood is going to require key minerals and key ions, okay? Key minerals and key ions to really resuscitate this whole thing back up. So we know that the functionality here is to carry oxygen and the nutrients and hormones, heat also, and immune cells. It's a transportation, okay? And so one of the transportation components here is going to be iron, because iron is the centerpiece of your hemoglobin. It is for your oxygen transport. I always say, look at iron just like the train. You know, the little things on the train, right? Whatever them little things on the train is carrying, they're carrying oxygen. But the things on the train, the storage units, are the iron. Okay, so they're transporting oxygen. That's what iron does. Also, iron being magnetic, then you got to look at copper. Okay. Copper is a very important mineral when we're looking at blood work and being able to handle blood problems like, again, blood cancers, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, all this stuff. We know what you need in their language, and I'm going to tell you what you need in my language too in a minute, okay? And you also need potassium. Potassium is going to be more prevalent inside the cell. Sodium, you're going to need that outside the cell. Magnesium inside the cell, calcium inside the cell, phosphorus, okay, zinc, and also bicarbonate. These are the key minerals and ions that you're going to need if you're dealing with anything that puts you in the waters of the blood, okay? Y'all get that, right? How many of y'all don't get that? Okay? How many of y'all don't get that? If y'all need to go over what diseases are in the blood, we can do that. But I'm just trying to let you know. I know it was the blood. Okay, I already told you guys a few of them. So if you're dealing with high blood pressure, high blood sugar, high cholesterol, anemia, if you're dealing with stroke, blood clots, and I say anemia of any kind, sickle cell anemia or just regular low iron anemia, okay? Inflammation or any kind of inflammatory diseases, okay? If you're dealing with autoimmune flare-ups, then you're dealing with some blood stuff. If you're dealing with low blood pressure, chronic fatigue, poor immunity, slow wound healing, all of this stuff, low blood pressure, you're dealing with some blood stuff, okay? You're dealing with some blood stuff. And so you guys are going to have to know, what herbs do you need? That's my next question. What herb do you need? HerbMan. So we have, again, we have 13 herb system. It doesn't matter what you got going on. We know that these 13 herbs provide all of the things that you would need to function. Okay. Y'all might say, yeah, this and the third, but that's the problem. That's what I'm saying. This is a system. This is just like traditional Chinese medicine. This is just like Ayurvedic medicine. This is just like a Southern herbalism, or Western herbalism, or European herbalism, or whatever you want to call it. This is a system, right? And we can't get over the system, okay? And so we don't need to have a billion herbs, because we know what to do, and we know what these 13 herbs got. We picked them for a particular reason, and we know what you need. And so now if I tell you that you need all of those things, the next question is, what herb do you got in your house to make that shit happen? Okay. If you need all of that stuff, iron and copper and bicarbonates, and what herbs do you got in your house to make that happen? But with our understanding of the herbs, okay, you get herbs that's going to be a blood purifier. You get herbs that's going to help out with the iron building and the detoxing process. You get herbs that's going to help out to be more iron rich. So not just iron building, but then iron rich, so we can mineralize you. Okay? You get herbs that's going to be good for the glucose and the blood chemistry, helping the blood sugar. You're going to get herbs in there that's going to give you the trace minerals and the iodine and the mineral matrix that you need. You got herbs in there that's going to help you with the circulation, because if you increase circulation, then you handle high blood pressure and low blood pressure. But folks don't know nothing about that. Most of the time, if you got low blood pressure or high blood pressure, it could be due to an obstruction, right? If there's something obstructing something, it can create high blood pressure or low blood pressure to a place. You get it? So if I remove the obstruction and increase the blood flow, if I increase circulation, then that takes your low blood pressure up. If I increase circulation, that takes your high blood pressure. Man, come on, somebody, man. This stuff is not rocket science. Don't let these folks trick you. Okay? One thing to cure both those high blood pressure or low pressure is you got to increase circulation. We know the herb to do that. Okay? You got to calm stress and chemistry in the blood. We know the herbs to do that. You got to regulate the nervous system during this blood stuff. We know the herbs to do that. So if you're dealing with the any kind of stuff like we just named, okay, and you're dealing with fatigue and cold hands and feet, if you're dealing with inflammation and sugar imbalances, if you're dealing with high or low blood pressure, even brain fog, then you're dealing with blood plasma. Those are the waters. Okay? Those are your waters. Translation of the body's healing process to know what herbs to aid it. Yes, that's what we're doing. Yeah, you got to know it. Okay? And so my point is that if you can get you an understanding of what the body needs, then we can do it. And I'm just showing you this to show you that when you get your owner's manual, we know what to use. Okay? We know what to give you. We know them herbs, they work if you do them. And we also know that singing, laughing, dancing, resting, relaxing, and chilling and all these other things also work for you. We know that nature-based interventions, getting out, getting more green space, making sure that you get out into the forest, or you're walking in around oceans and the bodies of water, so that you can, if you just walk through the forest alone, if you just walk by the beach or by bodies of water, just alone, that atmosphere will neutralize your ions, which means that it will balance your pH, or at least help doing it. Just alone. But you trying to drink alkaline water. Well, we're trying to get you the alkaline walk. Walk around alkaline water. You understand me? If you walk around alkaline water, you'll get the balance you need. You don't got to drink it. Stop letting them trick us. They're cutting you off from nature. You don't want to go to the natural springs. Well, going and walking to the natural springs, being around this water, this man just said, it helps you neutralize your ions just by going there. So they're cutting you off. It ain't at the grocery store that this happens to you. So then you got to now depend on what's in that bottled water. And that's dead water. You need structured water. Structured water is these things. Structured water is the H3O2. Structured water is the things that you need. And structured water ain't nothing more than water with life in it. You can't have just no anything. Okay? It got to have life in it. Right? So then now the next one is going to be lymph. Okay? So there's a lot of people dealing with this particular problem here, lymphatic problems. Okay? Your lymphatic system functionality is basically your garbage waste disposal outside of your digestive system. It is the lymphatic system. It helps remove cellular waste. Okay, all of the combustion and all of the acid ash that's left behind from the ATP production in your body, then the lymphatic system comes into the circulatory system and helps out. You got veins, you got the arteries, and you got the lymphatic. You got the red, the green, you got the red, the blue, and the green. The veins are the blue, the arteries are the red, and then the green is going to be your lymphatic system, okay? So it's just like a light switch. You got them three backed up, okay? So at the end of the day, that's how you are designed circulatory electrical, right? So you've got this one wire in you that's removing that cellular debris in order for this thing not to get blocked, stagnated, congested, and all that type of stuff. Now it happens. So you got to learn how to be able to drain this lymphatic system, okay? But it also helps you for draining your toxins. It helps you to maintain your immunity. Because if you don't get rid of the cellular waste, then the cellular waste becomes what will take immunity over your body. Okay. So now, what are some of the key things about the immune system or the lymphatic system we need to know? You need potassium, because you need something to make this fluid move. Okay, so potassium makes lymph move. So herbs that have the ability to make lymph move has a really high in potassium. So again, I told you guys about I ain't even tell y'all about wild indigo, but you do got wild indigo, you got blue flag, you got a red clover, you got some of these herbs that are very good at moving the lymph. But we know from a mineral, potassium do it. Then you need something to help pump the lymph. Well, the lymph doesn't have a natural pump on it for you to get it out. But guess what? Magnesium becomes something like a lymph pump to help this lymph move and come up out of the system. Chloride, okay? Chloride is going to have that osmotic balance. Selenium is going to act as an antioxidant within this particular system. And then you got sulfur, been a very big part of the lymphatic system because it's going to open up the detox pathways. And remember, these ain't nothing but instructions. Okay? These ain't nothing but instructions. When you look at that, those minerals and ions, they ain't doing nothing but pushing out more catabolic instructions. Fluid movement, lymph pump, osmotic balance, antioxidant to break the oxidative, because that you need the oxygen to cause the ATP, which is causing the free radical. So you need them antioxidants to, because you're asking for it to work. And when it's working, it's producing this thing. And so in order to handle this oxidative stress coming from the production, you're going to need antioxidants. So antioxidants ain't doing nothing but bringing in catabolic instructions. Sulfur is bringing in catabolic instructions because the lymph is trying to break the waste down and get it out of your body. So you need herbs that are giving these instructions, okay? And so we have herbs that'll give you the lymph cleansing. And we got herbs that'll help you relax the lymph flow or release the lymph flow. We got herbs that'll help soften the calcification in the lymph nodes. We have the herbs that are acting as anti-inflammatory drainage, so it doesn't hurt. It's not painful to drain. We have the herbs that help out with the detox pathways. We have the herbs that's going to help out with the lymphatic mucilage. We have the herbs that help out with the detox stimulant. So I just told you what you needed and then told you that we got the herbs for those things because we've done the science to know what those are. You have power over mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will be strong. Okay. Y'all like to come to the page and preach. I ain't mad at y'all. I appreciate y'all. Okay, so what are signs that you got lymph issues? Swollen glands. Okay, if you got a swollen gland up under your arm, that's a lymph. If it's a boil, that's lymph. And that means you're still dealing with infection. And it can come up under your arms. It can come around your pubic hair. It can come in your butt cheeks. It can come anywhere. Boils, swollen glands, swollen thyroid glands, swollen pituitary glands, swollen adenoid, swollen this or swollen that. Anything dealing with your glands swollen. Okay? You need to understand this now. Now, one of the best herbs about all of this is potent. I'll give y'all that for this one. But swollen glands, puffiness, acne, and skin eruptions. All of you guys dealing with a lot of skin eruptions, boils, acne, mucus coming up out of the skins, eczema. Okay, that's a lymph problem. Eczema is a lymph issue. Slow recovery. You can't get over things fast enough. That may be because you got stagnated lymph. Cellulite. I know y'all dealing with the cellulite all up in here. I told y'all blue flag. All right, I'm giving y'all herbs, varicose veins, blue flag, okay, wild indigo, okay. But these are not herbs that I use in my system. These are just herbs I've used I'm gonna say by themselves to handle some of these issues before I had the system. Okay, all right. So I'm just mentioning some of my go-to herbs before I even knew about this system. Chronic inflammation can also be a sign that you got lymph imbalance. Okay, so we got the herbs that'll help out with that. All of these herbs are in your owner's manual, but all of these herbs is what we give you regardless of what you need. If you're dealing with cancer, if you're dealing with a high blood pressure, you're dealing with autoimmune disease, if you're dealing with high blood sugar, these herbs, we ain't gonna give you all 13, but we know which herbs you need. Some of them will be 7, 8, 9, depending on your situation, your condition. We just know how to put that particular blend together for you. Okay. All right. So the 13 herbs, the reason why I haven't said that, because I'll just show y'all my 13 herbs in a second. Once we get to 100K, I'll just show y'all my 13 herbs and then you'll know why they fine. Okay. So the next one here is going to be the intracellular fluid. Okay. So the function of this, remember that this is life inside the cell. This is the fluid inside the cell. A lot of you guys are dealing with dehydration, and it's because you're reflecting, remember absorption and reflecting. So you're reflecting what's going on inside the cell. A lot of you that are dehydrated outside is dehydrating the cell on the inside of the actual cell. Okay. But the functionality for the intracellular fluid is to maintain cell voltage. Okay. Cell voltage. All right. ATP production is where you get this here. Your enzyme activity is where all of this come from. Now, what are some of the biggest minerals and ions that you need here? The keys are going to be potassium, because that's your number one intracellular electrolyte. Don't never forget that. Okay. The number one thing for inside the cell is potassium. The number one for outside is sodium. And then you got all these connections where potassium connects to calcium and magnesium inside and iron. And then you got some connections outside with sodium connecting with chloride and fluoride and different little things like that. And the phosphates connecting with the fluorides and making sure your bones and everything. So all these things create different instructions. Okay. Magnesium for ATP and mitochondrial activation, you need magnesium. Phosphates, you need that for the ATP energy. Amino acids, zinc, and manganese is the things or the key minerals and ions that you need if you got inside the cell problem. Now, this is where the cancers come from. Okay, the ICF, this is where cancers come from, because this is where you got a lot more mutations come from here. Okay, a lot more mutations come from this area right here, right? So if you got cancer, if you're dealing with cellular mutation, genetic, hereditary, or maybe even acquired situations or mutations, then this is primarily what we're talking about. Now, you need to understand that the herb that we're going to give you, we already know what to give you intracellular mineral balance. That's already been known. We know what to give you for the trace elements. We know what to give you that'll improve your mitochondrial detox. We know what to give you that's going to reduce the stress chemistry that collapse the cell voltage. We know what herbs is going to help boost the intracellular potassium, because we done our research on 13 herbs. Know them like the back of your hand. That's what my brother told me. He said, if you know stuff like the back of your hand, you can be a pillar of your community. And so we're showing you that there's a depthness that goes into this information that will allow you to be able to change people's lives and allow them to help them change their own life. The signs of intracellular imbalance, again, cancers, okay, tumors, fatigue, the low voltage in the cell, muscle cramps, okay, poor healing, cellular dehydration, inflammation inside the cell. Again, this look a lot like cancers and all that type of stuff, tumors and all of that. Now you have three types of cancer. You got the solids, you got what else? The blood cancers, and then you got the mix, right? So you got these solid cancers that are going to be messing with your epithelial cells and tissues and stuff like that. And then you got the blood cancers that can come and mess with the blood, the red blood cell, the white blood cell cancers, all that type, or lymphatic cancer, stuff like that. So if you got lymphoma, okay, multiple myeloma, all of these different types of things. If you got sarcomas, all right, or carcinosarcomas, all of these are coming up under this ICF. So that's breast cancer, So those are your solids, right? The breast cancer, the pancreas, the colon, the lungs. You know what I'm saying? All these cancers that be coming in these places are called the solids. They're dealing with tissues and organs, okay? So with that being said, that's going to be here. So if you know anybody dealing with those, we got the formula. We got the formula, okay? Let's keep it popping. All right. The next one is going to be what? Your extracellular, right? ECL. All right. Your extracellular fluid. So this is the fluid on the outside of the cell, right? The functionality for this ECL is that this is going to be your electrolyte transport. This is going to be where your nutrients exchange. This is also going to be helping out with the waste removal as well. Okay. So this is your extracellular fluid. This is 60%. Okay. So when you're looking at the interstitial fluid, 60% of it is extracellular. Extracellular is the fluid that's outside the cell. So you got cerebral spinal fluid, synovial, all these other ones would be considered extracellular. And this is 60% of what's going on. Okay. Because this is environment. So this is very important too, because this is right here is going to cause the inside of the cell to mess up. You'll realize and understand that this functionality between these things, this absorption and reflection. Absorption and reflection also goes biological to the finite point that eventually what's going on outside the cell will become the reflection of it inside the cell, because inside will absorb the external environment and it will reflect each other. Then you'll see that the inside of the cell will reflect what's on the outside of the cell. So you have this absorption and reflection even going on down to the biological finite understanding of how we operate. Why? Because if I can absorb my environment and reflect that which I absorb, I keep a cohesiveness, aka the balance. So the ECF is going to influence the ICF eventually, but it's supposed to create the balance. Okay, so now the key minerals and ions for your extracellular fluid is going to be, again, sodium being the number one. The main extracellular ion is sodium. Okay, then they baby sister chloride, calcium. Okay, for the signaling, the bicarbonates. All right, which is your HCO3. That's going to help out with your pH balancing. All right, and then you also got that sodium and potassium pump that's keeping that balance, that absorption reflection that I'm telling you about. That's what's keeping that thing doing what you got to do so that it can reflect and everything has a coherence, a organization, everything has a homeostasis. Okay? All right? So now the herbs that we got that's in your owner's manual or that you can get if you're dealing with this situation is going to help out with electrolyte balancing. It's going to help out with glucose control. Because why? Because it affects the osmotic gradient. And you need that when you're dealing with trying to get this environment under control. Okay? Because we don't want, if the glucose get out of control, then the environment gets too thick, and then that starts to obstruct the light, the instruction. So you always got to keep that in there, right? Then we got to get you some stuff for the anti-inflammatory for the extracellular space. We got to get you some silica. All right, to strengthen the extracellular matrix. We know what herbs carry silica. And we also got to get something to dissolve any extracellular calcification. A lot of you guys are dealing with kidney stones and dealing with cysts and dealing with all these different calcifications of the arteries, atherosclerosis. We know what herbs get rid of calcification. That's been done. We've been understood that. We know what herbs get rid of calcification now. And these will be in your herbal blend. If you guys are interested in the owner's manual or any of the products that you hear here today, please DM us and somebody will reach out to you, okay? All right? So now with your owner's manual, all we need is your birthday, and then we'll just go from there, okay? We don't need for you to tell us what to do. The only thing about it is when you tell me something, I got to follow your instructions, and when you don't know thyself, then now we playing footsie because I got to follow your directions. So that's why I say this is better, because I ain't got to follow your directions to give you what you need. You need to know thyself, okay? So some of the extracellular fluid signs of imbalance. Some of you guys are dealing with this right now. Edema, okay? Edema is swelling, not lymphedema, but edema. That's water retention. If you're dealing with water retention, that's an extracellular issue. Okay, if you're dealing with high blood pressure, joint stiffness, water retention, like we said, acidic issues, okay? Or if you got acid in your tissues, like gout and stuff like that, right? A nerve irritation due to calcium imbalance, okay? Then that's an extracellular thing. And we know the herbs to give you. You see? We know the herbs to give you. You got to start going, people that's got a system, not just trying to sell y'all no freaking herbs from other folks' books, man. It's time for us to know this stuff. We got to know herbs so we know what we're doing. We got to know it. Don't believe it. We got to know it. Okay? And this is what we believe can be the system of the future. And I believe it is. Okay? So next one is going to be your, we'll just do your interstitial. Okay? Your interstitial fluid is the functionality for this is because it surrounds every cell. Remember, it's the cell in between the tissues and the organs. It's the connector. Okay? It's the medium of the biophoton communication. This one, okay, this interstitial is the one that I'm telling you about. The light that goes into the interstitial, and then it starts to unravel or decode the light, the instructions. Who decode the instructions? The interstitial. Who decodes the light instruction? The interstitial fluid. And then it's going to, because it's closest to your cells, tissues, and organs, because it's wrapped around them. So when light come in, the interstitial is the one to decode, is the medium, the mediator to the biophotonic communication. Okay? And the key minerals and ions that your interstitial fluid needs is silica. Okay? Definitely going to need some silica. It needs sodium because, again, it is going to be extracellular. So we know that the number one extracellular ion is sodium. So anytime you're dealing with extracellular fluid, you're going to need to have something in there for sodium. Potassium is also going to be there. Magnesium should also be there. And then also copper, because copper plays in this particular part as a collagen crosslink. Okay, as a collagen crosslink here, because, again, this is all about that biophoton communication, but also is about getting this information inside the cell. Okay, so we got to have some of this stuff when we're dealing with extracellular fluid. So we got the herbs that give you the silica. We got the herbs that help the fascia relax. We have the herbs for the remineralization. We give you the interstitial herb for the interstitial detox. Okay, there's an herb that helps the interstitial detox. Okay, there's an herb that help out with the hydration matrix. There's an herb that help out with reducing the tension in the fascia web. So we give you this understanding and remember that the fascia is the one that breaks down the biophoton communication. So it has a lot to do with the interstitial. The fascia works with that interstitial, and this is that glow. This is that emitting of the light. This is the medium. Okay, that's why the cells have a glow around them. The auric field. That auric field in biology, you would call that fascia. Okay, in biology, you would call that fascia, you guys. All right. So again, if you're dealing with neuropathy, okay, if you're dealing with any kind of myofascial adhesions, okay, any kind of fluid stagnation, pain syndromes, okay, any kind of fascia tightness, right, then you're going to need these herbs for that. Okay, so again, neuropathy is a very big thing. So if you start dealing with stuff like that, if you're dealing with the fibromyalgias, if you're dealing with the myalgias, period, any kind of thing that's widespread around, remember we talking about scattered. Okay, so this can get that scattered light here, and we need to be able to get you to redirect that instruction and get more direct instruction to the cell. And so that fascia is going to be basically that scattered. You know, you want to get that working in a cohesion, because if not, that can really start to cause spreading of disease. Okay, really cause spreading of disease, because this is what's actually touching the cells. So they're getting nothing but pure instruction from this interstitial part of the body. Okay. The next one is going to be your cerebrospinal fluid, you guys. All right. So this function here protects the brain and the spine. It carries your neuropeptides, all this stuff that we've been talking about. It carries your neurotransmitters, in other words, okay? Endorphins and all the stuff that we've been talking about there. That's what neuropeptides is, okay? It also is going to help regulate a lot of different things, but mostly your pressure, okay? It also is going to help conduct the light. So you got something that helped out with the decoding, and then you got something that helps conduct the biophotons. So that means help bring it in. Cerebral spinal fluid helps bring in the light. It helps conduct the light, while another one helps decode the light. Okay, so dealing with this particular cerebral spinal fluid, the key minerals and ions here are going to be magnesium. Okay, because magnesium is one of the most biggest ones for calming the nervous system. Okay, sodium, because again, this is extracellular fluid. It's not inside the cell, so sodium is always going to be attached to it. Chloride is always attached to sodium. Potassium is always going to be with sodium as well. Calcium is always going to be with potassium. And then you need boron, which is going to act as a brain ion regulator. And a lot of people don't know about boron. Well, how do you get that in your herbs? We got the blueprint. Okay, so then we're going to give you herbs that's going to help the nervous system purification process. We're going to give you herbs that's going to help calm the brain waves. We're going to give you, we know what herbs help calm brain waves. We got it. We're going to give you the herbs for deep parasympathetic balance. We give you the herbs that send instructions for nourishing the neural tissues. We got the herbs that send instructions for trace minerals for the brain, that send instructions to reduce inflammation if there's any going on, any neuroinflammation in the brain. We got herbs that send these instructions, okay? All of this you can get. Just DM us and let us know what you need, okay? Now, some of the issues here when dealing with the cerebral spinal fluid is, again, brain issues, head pressure, migraines, okay, anxiety, depression, poor sleep, light sensitive, a lot of this stuff going on with autism and ADHD, okay? All of this stuff, man. These herbs that I just told you that we have can indirectly improve the lymphatic flow. And a lot of people do not have herbs or knowledge about your lymphatic system. Your lymphatic system is going to be the waste removal of the brain, okay? So you need that to drain. Well, you take some of these herbs and we can help you do this at night. The cerebral spinal fluid can drain at night using particular herbs that can help with that lymphatic flow. We have those in these herbal formulas, okay? We have those in these herbal formulas, okay? So I just want you guys to understand that no matter what formula you get from me, we're using this system, okay? All I use is 13 herb system. And that 13 herb system can be broken down in many different ways to get you what you need, because we've studied the herbs. Okay. I like to study 10 years LMT, neuro spicy. I like to read and work with doctors. That's what's up, Travis. You keep on reading and keep on working, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's there. You know, it ain't nothing but for you to do it. If you see me up here talking like a doctor, I know you can do it. The shit I done been through, I know you can do it, Pimper. If I can do it, okay? So I am living witness. It is you. It is able. You are able. All right. So last but not least, you guys, a lot of this right here, you guys don't know a lot about. Let me get my YouTubers in here really quick. A lot of y'all don't know nothing about this one, but synovial fluid. Now I know y'all know about seminal, but your synovial fluid, okay? The synovial fluid is going to be your joint water, all right? Its functionality is all about lubrication. Lubricating your joints, absorbing the shock, nourishing the cartilage. A lot of you guys are dealing with rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, and just arthritis in period. You're dealing with back pain and all that type of stuff, and you don't know that it just may be your synovial fluid. Now, the key minerals and ions that are needed in synovial for the synovial fluid to work properly is sulfur, okay, silica, calcium, magnesium, and is what I like to call it hyaluronic acid. Now, that hyaluronic acid is things that you're producing in your body. They selling that to you over the shelf, just like all the rest of this stuff. But we have the herbs that can help bring these particular key minerals and ions into the body. So we have herbs that's going to introduce a collagen and silica to the body, helping keeping that cartilage nourished up. Okay, we're going to have herbs that are going to bring instructions for to reduce the inflammation and also bring in mineral support. We're going to have herbs that bring in instructions of anti-inflammatory for the joints. Okay, we're going to have herbs for muscle relaxation, mucilage for lubrication. We can give you herbs that help out with the mucilage for lubrication, like the mosses and all that type of stuff. Or the what else you got? That herb that aloe veras and all these mucilaginous herbs and stuff like that. They out you. We know all this stuff already. We just got to know what you need, and we know this with the owner's manual. Okay. All right. And then last but not least, we also, again, we got the herbs that help reduce the calcification in the joints. We got the formula, dog. We just had to learn what herbs do this shit, and you don't need a whole bunch of them. So if you're dealing with joint pain, clicking, popping, stiffness, arthritis, bone on bone sensation, come holler at your homie HerbMan. Get your herbal blend straight from the owner's manual, okay? Again, you can get these herbs without doing your owner's manual. All of these particular packages, for the most part, cost about $35, okay? For a 30-day supply of these herbs, all right? We give you instructions. You get them in your own hand. You get over this stuff, and you're going about your life. Most of this stuff is organized for you to get over these things in 30 days or less. Now, there are certain people dealing with more egregious situations. Obviously, it's going to take a little bit more time because we got to make sure that your environment is conducive to your healing. Okay, we can't just get you rich because you read a get rich book. We got to create the environment. You have to have a support system around you so that even when you ain't reading, these things are still pushing you toward the financial security that you're seeking. People around you, the things that you're watching on social media, in TV, listening to on the radio, the friends, the environment, the neighborhood, all got to be conducive to you being rich. It can't just be that one book you read. You must understand the importance of the environment because you are absorbing and reflecting. And if you absorb enough bullshit, you're going to reflect it. And so therefore, since we absorb and reflect, then you must understand what you are projecting now. If you are reflecting sickness, it's because you absorb sickness. If you are reflecting impoverished mind, it's because that's what you absorb. If you are reflecting social anxiety and social disconnect, it's because that's what you absorbed. And if we just switch it, it gets back into balance. Very, very easy. Very, very simple. Okay. Very, very easy and very, very simple. All right. So we got the herbs for that, man. And then I'm going to give y'all for the seminal because I know I got y'all that want to eat babies out here. So, dealing with the seminal. So this is like the 8th water, right? This is the 8th water. It's the 7 waters, but we'll just call it the 8th water, right? So the seminal fluid is going to be 5% of the fertility cells and 95% of plasma, okay? So 5% sperm, 95% plasma, all right? This fluid is rich in minerals, enzymes, hormones, and information-carrying proteins. Again, biophotons, okay? It is one of the most densest information waters in your body because this is about reproductive. This is also where a lot of issues can start too when you're talking about the cancer. So watch out. Okay, now fertility. If you're dealing with fertility issues, if you're dealing with hormone transport issues, if you're dealing with prostate health, reproductive longevity, protection of your sperm cells and anti-inflammatory immune function, tissue repair, all that type of stuff. Okay, that's kind of what the seminal fluid's physical functions are. Okay, they're basically there for fertility and hormones and stuff like that, testosterone and all your good stuff. All right. Now, what you got to understand is the key minerals that this particular system needs. Right. Now we know that here zinc is going to be the number one thing for somebody dealing with a sperm count thing. Okay, it's a little different in men and women. Okay, But zinc is number one for the sperm count, motility, or testosterone. So a lot of you guys are going out there and going to get testosterone when you don't necessarily need to go get testosterone. You just need to build up your zinc. A lot of you guys are going out there trying to get because again, great information, wrong application. Okay? You get it? So also zinc, magnesium, selenium, calcium, potassium, sodium, phosphorus, manganese, boron, and copper are all going to be key minerals and ions here because those things do things, okay? Those things are needed, all right? Then you got trace minerals also that are required for this particular water here. You got your iodine, you got your chromium, you got your molybdenum, you got your sulfur, your silica, you got your iron as well. Because anytime you see a copper, you might as well start to look at that iron. Okay, so a lot of those, that's what you call your trace minerals. They're also necessary. Okay, because the seminal plasma is built on minerals, plus your proteins, plus the enzymes, and also the structured water, the H3O2 that we talked about. That all makes up that fluid. Okay, remember that the seminal plasma is 95% of the 95% of it is fluid. Okay, so you're going to need those things, but the key ones are going to be the potassium, the sodium, the calcium, the magnesium, the chloride, the bicarbonate, the zinc, and the citrate, because citrate is very good for prostate health plus the alkalinity. Okay, so when you're dealing with this particular type of stuff, you got to keep it in range. Okay, so it should be between 7.2 and 8.0. All right, always going to be alkaline though, right? So we got the herbs that will come into play, and these herbs are going to help out with damn near everything you got going on if it's dealing with fertility. So now we got things for the reproductive system, high blood pressure, cancers, autoimmune diseases, and high blood sugar, and also arthritic conditions. Okay, so if you're dealing with at least the main 6 or 7 diseases, then guess what? Let us balance your waters. If you guys are interested, please DM us if you're interested in your owner's manual. Okay, so the herbs that we work with, let me post these back up here real quick. You guys, let's go ahead and keep tapping out, keep talking. Matter of fact, we ain't where we need to be, man, to get the posted of the herbs. But I was gonna post the herbs when we got to 100K. All right, but we only got 40 more minutes left. You guys don't like learning, I can see. but when we learn, man, now I'm putting it into your hands. Okay, we're putting it into your hands, and so that's what we need. All right, that's what we need, to put it into your hand. All right, so you look at this seminal fluid effectively as a biophotonic elixir. Okay, it's going to be carrying electromagnetic and mineral-based intelligence throughout the body. All right, because again, this is what is creating life. Right, so this seminal fluid is by no means the least on the list. Right, but if you're looking at what's the signs of me having seminal fluid issues, low libido, fatigue, watery semen, low sperm count, prostate irritation, weak erections, depression, anxiety. Okay, the loss of drive. When your temperature drops and you're feeling, you got low temperature, all that type of stuff can be signs of deficiency. Okay, weak fluids, what we call the weak fluids. All right. The signs of stagnation could be thick and yellowish semen, painful when you ejaculate, chronic pelvic tension, inflammation, heavy feeling in the sacral area. All these types of things, you guys. So my brothers, we got things for you to make sure that you can get back in line, but also we got things for the ladies as well. You guys, if you're interested in any one of our products, please let us know and we'll get you the stuff that you need. But we're going to work out this system. This is the tool for the next generation. Any questions thus far? What can we do to improve what the seminal fluid? That's what you're saying? That's what you're asking me? Well, you have to know what herbs to do, but if you're just looking at what to do without the herbs, then my main go-to is going to be squats, okay? If you're a brother who just asked me that, witness soul, or if you're asking for somebody, the main thing without getting the herbal blend that we're talking about, because the herbal blend is going to help out with all of that stuff, right? The whole entire system being improved. I mean, the whole seminal fluid system being improved. So those herbs are about 8 to 10 herbs, okay? And we were going to show you guys that once we get to 100K, I'll show you the herbs that we're working with. But what I'm saying to you is that if you are just looking at what you can do without getting the herbs, then the biggest thing for men is to ejaculate and squats to improve the prostate and the seminal flow, okay? And hula hooping, okay? Brothers need to hula hoop more than females, okay? Because you need to get rhythm. A lot of brothers are very lazy now when it comes to sex. We land on our back more than the female. We sit down more than the women are during a particular time where you're supposed to be the one doing all the moving and doing your thing. We laying down more than she is, and we sitting down more than she is doing stuff. And so now you've been lazy, and then you don't get that movement. Wonder, ain't nobody trying to beat down my men to myself. What you said, I ain't finna repeat it. No, my brothers heard me. Hey, my brother heard me. I asked my partner to get checked. Okay. Now I mean, if you'll know a big problem when it comes to urination for men. Men dealing with this, you watch your urination, you watch your semen, and you'll know if you start getting discolorations and stuff like that. You definitely want to watch out if you got infertility issues, prostate issues. You definitely want to reach out to us. Again, these herbal combinations, for the most part, most of those cost about $35. Some of those are going to cost $50, depending on what it is that you get, and you get more when you get more herbs in there. Okay, so it is what it is, but it's going to be between $30 and $50 for a lot of those things. But we continue to derive it off of the system. Okay, we continue to derive it off the system. Anybody else? Okay. So I'm here soaking up game. Thanks for being there. You in the fam. I'm in the back. Oh, I already know you always in the building, baby. You already know, Lep. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Who else we got on here? Great pricing. Yeah, appreciate your high blood pressure in the family. Yes, but high blood pressure is not hereditary. The lifestyle that creates high blood pressure got passed down to you. Okay. New path. Okay, new path 444. The high blood pressure is not hereditary, but the lifestyle is. You got passed down what we call tendencies, right? So they pass down tendencies that will create high blood pressure, that can create stress, that can create anxiety, that can create worry, that can create overthinking, that can create high blood pressure. So you got tendencies, and then those tendencies were hereditary, and then now if you don't circumvent those tendencies, if you didn't know thyself well enough, then you couldn't circumvent your own tendencies because you can't get around yourself. And if you don't know, then there's nothing that you can do. That's why we're encouraging you guys to go and get the owner's manual for that little funky funky measly $50, because it's giving you yourself in a manual that you can go back and start to really peel away the layers of yourself and start to know yourself and what you require as a merging of not only you and your nature, but within nature. How do you look when you blend in with God, with nature, instead of trying to dominate everything in this particular experience or be a victim of it? Remember, it's absorption and reflection. You're not supposed to absorb so much that you just become a victim of abuse, all of this particular thing. And you're not supposed to reflect so much that you can't sit your ass down and learn and sit down somewhere. So it's a balance of absorption and reflection. And the question is, what are you absorbing? And also, what are you reflecting today? Okay, that's the real thing. If you just use the owner's manual herbs, will we need additional herbs to clear the fluids? No, unless you want them. No, because the owner's manual gave us what you need from your birthday. But if you're looking for a specialized, customized thing for something specific, let's say you say, well, hey, the herb that I'm getting, they're doing it, but they not necessarily hitting it right then because they're doing it more indirectly. Okay, then we'll give you a direct shot of a particular panacea blend that we get from the issue. So all of those things I just told you about, these things right here, these 7 or 8 things, we got different blends of those 13 herbs. That I'm not, what I'm saying is none of y'all are gonna get all 13. But this one right here got 8 herbs. This one is 7. This one may be 6. This one may be 6, 7, 5. This one may be 7 herbs. And then that one may be 8, right? So that's how we do it. We know how to put them together. But it's all because we learned those 13 herbs to the finite, so that we're understanding that we're getting everything. These herbs are so powerful and they're so synergetic together. And they've been studied, they tried, they true. So we don't have to worry about any of that type of stuff. But they're so effective at being able to come in here and do what we know is right, which is get down to these waters. Dealing with the waters and dealing with the fluids, dealing with your intracellular, your extracellular, dealing with the blood and the plasma, dealing with the lymph and all the stuff that Dr. Sabi and the rest of them, he just wasn't able to break it down this way, but that's what they were doing. He was dealing with your waters. And that's why you know about Irish moss and the seaweeds, because the seaweeds do what? They deal with the cleansing and the neutralizing of the waters of the earth. And they do the same thing for you. And not all of these herbs are seaweeds, but we do put them in there for the trace minerals, for the mineralization, for the strength, the strengthening of the fascia, all these types of stuff that you would need. Okay, these are just intricate parts that play a role in holism and being able to heal you wholly. But you got to know the herbs that do that. Okay, witness, I love seaweed. Appreciate it. Any other questions thus far? Okay, when you're dealing with high blood pressure, again, you're dealing with the blood plasma issue. If you're dealing with arthritis, the synovial fluids, okay? All right, if you're dealing with cancer, there's going to be a few of them, but we know the intracellular fluid, the lymph, okay, and the interstitial. Okay, and so we put those things together so we ain't missing nothing. I'm gonna give you everything intracellular, extracellular that you need. Once we get to 100K, I'm gonna show y'all the 13 herbs that we work with within this system that will completely help create an environment that disease does not want to live in. I will confidently put a claim on that. We don't have to use the words cure and all of that, because what we know is that these herbs will definitely guarantee to create an environment that diseases don't like to fester in. And so that's what we do. We create environments. So I teach from the weatherman. I'm talking about your environment. That's a real herbalist. Okay, that's a real holistic practitioner teaching you in the synchronism or parallelism to earth. Talking about you and earth and the connection. As above, so below, but as without, so within. And when you see that as above, so below, as without, so within, then you see that there's a constant flow from east to west to north to south to the middle. Okay, none of these things have to go outside of their ranges. Everything meets in the middle. Okay, everything meets in the middle. What's happening is, to be honest with you, what's happening is that some of us are getting too far over here to the left. So the ego of the left don't want to meet in the middle, and the ego of the right don't want to meet in the middle, and the ego of the high self don't want to come down and meet in the middle, and the ego of the lower self don't want to have to come up to meet in the middle. So you get this egotistical thing that keeps you from the balance, that keeps us from the balance. But if we learn how to just let go and let flow and be at ease, again, a human being instead of a human doing, and then now this thing gets to release and everything get back at ease of flow. And then there's no more obstruction or egotistical dominance of either one of these particular paradigms or thought processes of our life. Okay? Expansion and contraction. Yes, expansion and contraction. Okay, that's all it is. Everything is just meeting in the middle, though. The high self don't have to come down to the lower. The lower don't have to come up to the high. You just meet in the middle. The middle is the heart, the love for life, the love for this experience. The love for life and the love for this experience can get you rich. The love for life and the love for this experience can get you social. The love for life and the love for this experience can get you healed. Because what you're producing when you're in love is the medicine and the everlasting elixir that no herb, no medication, and no man can give you, because it's within. And each person got to know that. Okay? Each person got to be able to understand this. Yeah, even before Patah, this is what we call the light and water. So this is the mules, okay? I teach this all the time, you guys, the mule, right? The mules is supposed to be the original people on the planet. The mules, y'all say they come from the Lemuria. You can say they come from America, okay? The Americans, whatever you want to say. But the Moors took this word from the Moors. The Moors means the people of the water who bear light. And they gave that science because of this whole understanding of life and water, light and water. The sun and the water creates atmosphere, environment. And with that, now they're able to navigate. Now they're able to cultivate. Now they're able to colonize. Now they're able to do all of these different things that we gave to the people to continue to expound on life. And then you see it come through the Olmecs and through the Toltecs and through the Aztecs and through the Mayans and through the Egyptians and through the Kemetic science, and then through the Tibetan and then through the traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic and so on and so on. All those people still talking about the same thing, Kabbalahism and Taoism and all of these different things are still talking about what the people of the light, the people of the water who bear the light, taught us from the beginning. This is the most ancient of 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 the most ancient natural-based systems on the planet. He who knows the stars within knows the stars without. He who knows the stars without knows the stars within. Once you understand how life is created outside, you'll understand how life is created inside. Once you understand how earth heals itself, you'll understand how body heals itself. Once you can learn, see, that's what it's all about. Can you see? What vantage point do you got? You talking about people teaching you things. I'm talking about nature teaching you things. When was the last time you learned something from nature? Everything I use in plastic. Yeah, don't use nothing in plastic. Okay? Change your life. A lot of y'all are not going to make it through the issues that y'all going through if you don't make a conscious decision to change your life. Because you're so bogged down now, you're so heavy laden that the environment, okay, remember that you're reflecting now. The inside of your home, the inside of your mind, the inside of your bank account is reflecting that which you've absorbed. And you've been absorbing poor people's conversation. You've been absorbing stressed people's life all your life. You've been absorbing programmed people's ideals all your life. And at one point, do you reflect them? Do you reflect the stress that you absorb? At what point do you reflect the sickness that you absorb? At what point do you reflect the poor-mindedness that you absorb? So you must understand the environment. And for some of you guys, y'all are so sick and you're so bedridden and you're so sick and shut in that the first decision you got to make is to change your environment. And when we do these retreats, that's what we're doing. Okay, we're already in workings of devising a plan. And when you come, we're not just going to allow you to see one scenery. We're going to take you to the mountains, take you to the beach, and take you to wherever else we can in order for you to be able to get these things, because it may not all be in one setting, okay? But we're not going to try to blow your pockets up. It's going to all be in the package. We're going to ride together to the beach. We're going to sing in the van together. We're going to laugh in the van together, laugh in the restaurants together, laugh on the beach together. And then we're going to cry on the beach and cry in the mountains and laugh in the mountains, sing. And everything we're going to do it together. And we're going to heal ourselves together, but we're going to be healing on an individual level. But ain't nothing like support. Ain't nothing like environment. All the way down to who you got in your home, your kids, your spouse, how you choose a mate. That's the environment. These are important ingredients to your success. What supports you? How these people fit into you? What kind of environment they create for the life that you're ending up wanting to be? And you don't want to end up sick, so create a healing environment. You don't want to end up broke, so create the abundance environment. You don't want to be alone, so create the social environment that you need. And that's just meaning remove the obstructions to the instructions that you are necessary to get you the things that you're ignorant of within you. Some of you guys got what it takes to get what you want, but you just obstructing the instructions. And you can't go nowhere without knowing where to go. And the owner's manual acts as a navigation and a calculator to you. So this is a compass and a calculator, a navigation tool and a calculation tool, so that we can remove the obstructions and get you to the instructions of where to go in life, the GPS of life. For a funky, measly $50. If you guys are interested, please DM us and we'll get you the information that you need. It's time out for ignorance. It's time out for you to stop walking through life blind. The more blindness you go, because you ain't got no light on it, so the more blindness and the darkness you in, you can't see your way through life. Hell yeah, that's stressful. And I don't blame you for wanting to get the hell on. Well, we all gotta die. Yeah, with that consciousness, yeah, because you ain't got life right yet. I want to leave this motherfucker too. Everybody say, you don't want to be here with all this pain. No, and I damn sure don't want to be hunted, bent over, and need somebody to wipe my ass. I'm ready to go. If I lose my independence, if I lose my ability to continue my own journey, then I'm ready to leave. But I'm trying to teach you how to live longer, stronger. So that you don't got to be ready to go. You're always ready to stay because you're in human being. And human being is a lot less stressful state for the human than the programming of the human doing. And all your diseases are coming from one fundamental problem: relationships. The fundamental issue of diseases wreaking havoc on the modern human is relationships. Whatever happened to you through whatever type of relationship you got with your parents, whatever, your family members, your community, your co-workers, your peers, whatever it is, it happened through some type of form of relationship. That's the stress on you. The stress on you is because of the relationship that you have with your boss. The stress on you is because of the relationship you have with the person in your home. The stress on you is because of the relationship you have with your parents. The stress on you is because of the relationship that you have with your extended family or your intermediate family. The stress on you, the relationship that you got with your friends, and if you don't got none, with your family, if you do, with your classmates, the stress on the modern man comes from relationships. And relationships are playing a role on your emotions. And your emotions play a role on your waters. And your waters is where the disease physically starts to fester. So the mind is the playground. So it's how you're perceiving life. But if you're a human being, then guess what? I ain't got to have doubt and trust issues that can come in and create a chaotic water. If I'm a human being, then I ain't got to have guilt and unforgiveness that's going to come in and create a chaotic water. I ain't got to have stress and worry when I'm a human being. Because when I'm being, I know that abundance, stress comes out of the understanding of lack. Either you can't forgive somebody in the past, or you too worried about the future because that's lacking something. Something is missing. So that's guilt and unforgiveness. That can create a chaotic water. But that's not what you're supposed to be doing. That comes from relationships in some form or fashion. Okay? So it's all about the relationship that we need to have with one another. That's why this is so critical for us to do it on an individual page. When you start to get your love for you back and then somebody else now has a manual that can get you there. Somebody else now got a blueprint. They ain't gonna do it your way. They got their own way to do it, but they got the ability to get that in the palm of their hands. That's what we're offering you. Everybody got the ability to get their own manual. It's not going to be a manual for the world. This is a manual for 8 billion people of the world. So I got to have 8 billion manuals. But you can't have 8 billion manuals that's talking about everybody collectively. They're all 8 billion customized, personalized manuals based on your birthday and based on your tendencies and based on your makeup and what you got going on. From Africa, from Australia, from Brazil, from Europe, from Canada, from Alaska, from Hawaii. You got to take into consideration the life experiences as well as the lifestyle issues. Know the whole person. And I want to be able to serve and know all 8 billion of my brothers and sisters on this planet. There's no language that can create a barrier between me and you. There's no skin color that can create a barrier between me and you. This is for the rich and the poor. It costs the same. This is for the elite, and this is for the 99%. It is for all of us. Get back in tune with your nature and see how you can integrate yourself within the greater scheme of things and come into harmony and be back in the being. Sit in the passenger side. One of the most famous poems that I used to read when I was coming up was The Footprints in the Sand. And you read that poem all the time, Footprints in the Sand, but how many of you know how to be on the passenger side of life? How many of you know that you're driving in the car, but you don't need to drive? How many of you are bold enough to take that experience? How many of you are bold enough to, again, integrate you? The whole thing is to put spirit into the matter, spirit into the body, and live life every day in the practical sense of how to do this every day. And you're going to need nature-based interventions to keep that spirit into that body. You're going to need the job ain't going to always be able to do it. Money ain't going to always be able to do it. The spouse ain't going to always be able to do it. So you need to know how to go out and go call on nature instead of your old lady. She can't do everything for you. You need to go out there and call on nature instead of alcohol and cigarette. They can't do everything for you. You need to go out there and call on nature instead of the friend down the road. And you need to go out there and call on God instead of looking down in the book all the time. These things will bring you clarity. And clarity is all you need to get over your situation. Look, man, that's been my time, man. We have 100,000. I'm going to put these herbs up here real quick because I know if I'd have did that, y'all would have said that that was criminal. He didn't show us the herbs. It was criminal. It was just criminal. YouTubers will show them the herbs. Obviously, you guys can go over here to TikTok to get this, but if not, I've already showed you guys this anyway. Okay, so here we go. All right. So you guys are looking at our structure. Okay, so I just went through most of these minerals and ions. Okay, sodium. If you look to the left over here, you got your sodium, your calcium, your chloride. You got your bicarbonate. Okay, you got your potassium. You got your magnesium, your phosphorus, your iron, your silica, your zinc, your copper. You got your selenium. You got your manganese, okay? And you can see we already know what's inside the cell, okay? If you're looking down at the bottom, the blue X's are going to be extracellular. So we know what minerals, but you see we got the herbs too, right? Y'all see them herbs? Okay? Somebody said we can't see it. Let me blow it up. You just trying to do a screenshot of it, but it's all good. You got to know how to put them together, okay? So here we go. Boom. Those are the herbs for extracellular. Okay, those are your herbs for extracellular. And then the green is going to be intracellular. So those are the herbs for intracellular. The point of the matter is this is science, okay? So we understand that you got to have a scientific approach, but we also understand the effectiveness of the spiritual approach. I got to ask you about your love life. I got to ask, look, I'm going to tell you the biggest thing that ails people is always going to be something that they really want that they ain't got yet. So the biggest thing that's going to cause your stress is going to be these wants, needs, and desires. Okay? So for a rich person that got everything, there's always something they still desire. That's a motivation, but it also creates the stress. Okay? So out of your wants, needs, and desires are going to come the issue. So you got to know how to ask this question. Okay? And a lot of people will call you and tell you they've been vegan, they this and they that, but they got a problem. And they ain't gonna tell you, oh, it ain't their diet, it ain't this, it ain't that. They don't overthink, they go to sleep, they work out every day, but they still dealing with this and still dealing with that. It's because you're still dealing with wants, needs, and desires. Some folks just don't know how to be. They so caught up in doing. And they want you to heal them so that they can continue to keep running into burnout, stagnation, congestion, blockages. They want you to heal them so they can go right back over here to this, because they're not understanding what the problem is. The problem sometimes is just stop trying to do something. And so these diseases are alarms, you guys. They're trying to say rest. They're trying to say let it go. These diseases are literally trying to tell you to let that shit go. To let it go. Whatever caused this, you need to let it go. Whatever is the rudimentary problem of that caused this disease, you need to expel that from your life. This disease is actually trying to save you. Most times when you got a disease, it's actually a life-saving attempt. A fibroid is a life-saving attempt. Without that polyp forming, if that shit was to bust inside you, woman, you'd be dead in a heartbeat. If the shit inside of that polyp, that fibroid busts, you'll have sepsis. That's a life-saving attempt, and you guys don't know nothing about it. So a lot of these diseases are life-saving attempts. Fever, cold and flu, these autoimmune diseases, all these are life-saving attempts. So they're trying to tell you something. We'll tell you what that disease is trying to tell you with your owner's manual. We'll show you what life is trying to tell you with your owner's manual. Well, you'll know what's the life lesson. Some of you guys are Tauruses and you're caught up in the Taurus in you, but you're over here dealing with a Capricorn problem. Focus on the life lesson. Keep staying over here for when you're actually over here. That's the separation of spirit and body. Well, the matter is one place and the spirit, the mind, is in another place. We can visually show you that with the owner's manual. If you guys are interested in that type of stuff, healing through spirit and science, please DM us and we'll go ahead and take care of you best of our need, best of our understanding, okay? It's on the increased sepsis. Yes, because again, people are getting rid of a lot of things that help you, like your adenoids. You're getting rid of your what's the one down here I always forget about? That it be busting on people all the time. I forgot the name of that one. Because it's so many stuff I be knowing. But we take these things out. Yeah, your appendix, right? But these are part of the stuff that helps you get over colds and flu. You take out your thyroid. You take out your gallbladder. If you take out your gallbladder, you'll always have some digestive issues because the gallbladder produces a bile, and that alkaline bile actually helps break down fats. So now you got more of a chance of fatty liver because you got taken out something that should have been rectified and kept in. You cleanse it, you detox it, you keep it in. Stop taking out these organs. Start coming earlier. Okay? Keep your organs, even your uterus. Stop getting that taken out. Stop doing these hysterectomies, okay? Because when you that your organ, yeah, you might not want to have a baby, but that goddamn thing still connected to your hormones. So you done took this motherfucker out and forgot about it's connected to your hormones. So it ain't about a baby, it's about how you're designed. So you're gonna forever have hormone problems because you got a hysterectomy. We wear rubber, wear protection for the baby, but you still want to make sure that you don't have to always take something for your hormones for the rest of your life. You forgot that part. It's a part of a system. It's not just an organ that you can just go and friendly go do and think it's not going to have no effect on how that system works. So the gallbladder is a part of the digestive system, which includes the liver, gallbladder, and pancreas. So when you remove the gallbladder, you immediately affect the pancreas and the liver, which is going to be a lot of blood shit going on. A lot of blood and also a lot of digestive. Why? Why? Because the pancreas is blood sugar and the liver is your actual blood, right? So now is you going to have problems with cleansing the blood, microbes and all that stuff because the processor got to do more work, or you're going to have problems with the blood sugar because the pancreas got to do more work, or you're going to have problems with the digestive system because the pancreas produce what you would call the pancreatic juices. Well, one third of the pancreatic juices is lipase, which is what you should be producing gallbladder. Okay, so now the pancreas got to do more in that area, which means that you may not be breaking down food properly. And now when you don't break down the food properly, you're getting constipated. How many people got gallbladder issues and got constipation? Because you needed that bowel. Okay, you get your gallbladder removed, you can definitely start having that constipation, that stagnation starts to happen. All right, how do you fix an overactive bladder? Very simple. Relax. So if it's overactive and it's a bladder, you just got to relax. Okay, so you can start taking more relaxing herbs for the nervous system. All right. If you want those herbs, we can give you. You just DM us, and we can give you something for overactive bladder. It's real simple. You just got to know how to put the herb together. All right. So we have those herbs that we're going to go in and we're going to relax the nervous system. We're going to get this overstimulation off of it, and then we're going to get this thing working back primarily. But we got to ask you some other stuff too. What the hell is going on in your life when it comes to your stress? What you worried about? What you fearful of? Okay, because the bladder can represent some kind of fear, some kind of stronghold when it's looking at your stability. Okay, I don't know if you're making enough money doing what you want to do in life, whatever that may be, but that's having an effect on that bladder. So we can't just give you the herbs and alleviate it. Otherwise, you'll always be having that reoccurring issue because you got the same stuff in your life. But if you remove the shit out of life, then you can permanently keep the bladder going. But if you just take the herbs and keep the shit in life, then you're going to have a temporary fix to the overactive bladder. We can do it either way you want. I'm just going to take your money every so often instead of one time. Yes, I've heard of that powder before. Lipase. Said lipid enzyme. Man is 78. Yeah, lipase. My cousin warned me not to have a hysterectomy. Yeah, you're gonna forever have issues, man, with your hormones. Okay. When you remove that thyroid, you're gonna forever have issues with your metabolism. Okay, and hormones. Thyroid, uterus is all connected to the same thing. That's just like a man removing his testicles. You're gonna always have hormonal issues or can be privy to those things. Okay, this stuff is producing medicine in us. So when you start messing with them, you start messing with that medicine. Okay. All right, you guys. So that has been my day, you guys, man. I'm going to get up out of here, man. I love every single one of you guys. I appreciate all 100 or so people that have watched me today. I appreciate all 110,000 of you guys that were able to watch this episode. If you guys need anything, please email me or DM me, and we'll get you the information that you need, you guys. I love you. It's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Please go tell somebody about your homie HerbMan. I hope you guys enjoyed the program today. It is going to be recorded on YouTube, so please go over there and subscribe just in case anything happened to TikTok. We want to make sure that we continue to keep busting you upside the head with this hot banger boogie. Until next time. Peace. Woo-side! Yes, sir.